Hi, I'm Peter Alsop, and this week's Song to Chew comes from my Stayin Over album. It's called Bigger, Bigger, Bigger. It's easy to notice in families who the big people are. It's the adults, and the little people are the kids. We know that in our families, the big people have more power, and we often use it to make the little people do what we want. But then, it doesn't take too long before all the little people, the kids, get to be big people. And we notice that these new big people start shoving around the new little people in the same way that they used to be shoved around. And more these days, we see big people pushing their version of the world onto the littler people around them. Anyone in your family ever say the words, "No fair"? When I heard that from my kids, I'd always say, "You want a fair? Go to Pomona." There was a big fair in Pomona every year. Of course, they always loved hearing me say that. Well, the same dynamics that happen in families also happen in organizations and societies and globally. And the more us big people learn about how to manage being fair in our families, about how to listen to little people better, the more skills we will gain in how to manage ourselves as members of one of the groups in our human community here on this planet of ours. So let's see if we can pick up some new skills as we listen to our Song to Chew for today, Bigger, Bigger, Bigger.
Sometimes when I ask you if you've got time to play, you say,
"Not right now, I'm just too busy, go away."
But when you're in a hurry and I am moving slow, you pick me up and carry me and off we go. Well, you're bigger, bigger, bigger than me. Bigger, bigger, bigger than me. And you can make me do things even when I don't agree, 'cause you're bigger, 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 bigger than me.
Just because you're bigger, that does not mean that your head always figures out the best ideas for me. Sometimes I get great big ideas in this little head of mine, but you won't get to hear them if you don't take the time. Well, you're bigger, bigger, bigger than me. You're bigger, bigger, bigger than me. You can make me do things even when I don't agree, 'cause you're bigger, bigger, bigger than me. Sometimes I ask questions and you don't pay attention. You say, "Just a minute." Then you pick up the phone, and that minute turns to hours while I wait there on the floor. And when you're done, my question's gone, I can't remember anymore. Well, you're bigger, bigger, bigger than me. You're bigger, bigger, bigger than me. And you can make me wait for all eternity, 'cause you're bigger, bigger, bigger than me.
Now there's always someone bigger who'll disagree with you, and sometimes make you do things that you don't want to do. Big people throw their weight around when they're feeling bad, so please don't pass it on to me if someone bigger made you mad. Well, you're bigger, bigger, bigger than me. Bigger, bigger, bigger than me. So don't just make me do it. Find a way to help me see, 'cause you're bigger, 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 bigger than me. No, don't just make me do it. Find a way to help me see, 'cause I love you and you're bigger, bigger, bigger than me.
I recorded that back in 1987 with my friend Michelle Browerman on piano and synthesizers. My dear old friend Utah Phillips sang the solo parents line in verse 1. "Not right now, I'm just too busy, go away." My daughter Willow, who was 6 then, sang the solo on verse 2 about, "Sometimes I get great big ideas in this little head of mine," which she still does. And my other daughter Megan, who was 10, sang the solo on verse 3 with her real mom, my wife and buddy Ellen Gear. Now, we've also seen kids in families who seem to be little tyrants, who get whatever they want from their parents by threatening to throw a fit or have a meltdown. So, of course, it's important for all of us family members to know how to set a boundary for ourselves. As parents, we can still be considerate of a child's size and respect their ideas and feelings without having to do whatever they want. It means we take time to listen and explain, more than once if necessary. When we do this, children get a strong message that they are worthwhile, even if they don't get what they want. When we force others to do what we want them to do, it teaches those younger, smaller, less experienced, or less powerful than us that it's okay to use force to get our own way. When we use force, we role model discounting other people's feelings, and we don't explore new ways to solve problems. When abusive or controlling parents make children do things without any consideration for the child's feelings, we raise angry children, some of whom fight back, some of whom hide and carry the resentment. Some children get the message that they can't do anything well for themselves, and those messages don't help them grow up into healthy adults. They only limit the child as they grow older. And it can teach that person that because they aren't capable of learning new skills, that they will always need to look to others to fix their problems. Without some kind of recovery from this kind of dependency training, most of these children will pass these messages on to their own children, and the cycle will continue. That's why in the last verse I emphasize the idea of don't just make me do it, find a way to help me see. There's often one family member in a family who gets blamed for creating many of the family's difficulties. This member is sometimes known as the scapegoat. The scapegoat often fights the controlling parents by disobeying family rules, sometimes passively, sometimes openly, taking on the power struggle by being openly critical and verbally outspoken and even physically resistant to their parents' control trips. It's certainly okay for both big people and little people to be assertive in our homes, with our family or at our workplace or in our government, because it's important to set boundaries to take care of ourselves. Being assertive is different, though, than being aggressive. Aggressiveness is when we force other people to do things our way. If we learn alternatives to using force in our personal lives, we will have less violence in our homes, our families, our workplaces, and our governments. I'm a member of a nonprofit organization's board of directors, where we work to listen to each other and consider different points of view in order to come up with the best ways to proceed to keep our organization functioning. When we invite new members, we want to know if, when we're having a disagreement, they are someone who thinks it's a good idea to lobby other board members to join their side of the agreement, thinking that then our side will have 5 votes and your side will only have 4 votes, so we will win. Many of our organizations use Robert's Rules of Order as a guidebook for how to manage their decision-making. Unfortunately, there's a major problem with one-vote win systems. It sets up situations where you may win, but you may not get what you want because you created a situation where almost half of the board members are feeling upset, left out, and forced into a situation that they do not support. So by excluding the needs and wishes and difficulties faced by the, quote, other side, unquote, this kind of system can actually make it more difficult to accomplish the task you just voted on. By pushing something through with just one vote more than the other side, you've strengthened the opposition and the resistance to accomplishing making any lasting changes. Gee, sounds like the U.S. Senate these days, eh? So, just being bigger in power and force doesn't equate with having more success with fixing problems or helping to lift people in their lives. It's definitely more work up front to do things collectively. Listening to and caring about each other's needs just takes more time. But in the long run, the results often have more balance, understanding, and buy-in from almost everyone. And the work to complete the final plans can happen much faster with less problems and sabotage. Even if there are some people who do not agree, it's always worthwhile to listen to their difficulties and consider if together a way forward might be found that includes their concerns as well as those of the majority. When us big folks have access to our own feelings, we more easily respect and understand the feelings and ideas of smaller folks because we remember how it felt for us when we were little. We also know that when we win by forcing others and being bigger, that there's always someone bigger than us just around the corner. I think that's plenty to chew on for today. I'm Peter Alsop, and thank you for stopping by. I'll be back next week with another song to chew. Bye for now.